we're running a special in the month of July where you can get 5.3 months free. That's 5.3 months free when you sign up for the yearly membership. So you pay for 6.7 months. You get 5.3 months free. All my films, my book, Paul Watson's book, special live reports, the nightly news every night, and so much more, commercial-free audio and video podcast of the daily radio show, all of it. And again, if you can't afford a PrisonPlanet.tv membership, almost all of it, a lot of it, ends up going on YouTube the next day for the whole world with our big channel with 400 million views. We have other channels, and we had our other auxiliary affiliate channels. I've been trying to do the math. Actually, it's bigger than I said. We're up to about 800 million views on YouTube. And for political news, that's dominant. The White House videos get about 5,000 views on average now. They only do a few a day. Barack Obama. Remember, he used to get 5 million views of the stupid Obama girl and all that? Talk about rotting produce that nobody wants to buy. I mean, Obama is really losing his own base because he has just betrayed everyone. I started reading her book last weekend. I've gotten about halfway through it because I've been very busy. It's excellent. And it's something I think that really everybody should read, especially so-called liberals that think they know Dr. Martin Luther King. I can actually hear his quotes, his letters, what he really stood for, and then contemporary example of what's going on today. So who was Dr. Martin Luther King? Was he who the FBI basically lied and said he was? Or was in their COINTELPRO? Or is he who the Democrats say he is? Or is he even who the Republicans say he is? And the answer is no. And the lady that has done a great job, Dr. Elvita King, guardian of the King family legacy, is a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, a grateful mother and grandmother. She's a former college professor, author, mentor, stage and screen actress. I've seen her in quite a few movies. Georgia state legislator and presidential appointee. And she joins us now. Great book by Nelson Books that I intend to finish by Friday. I'm going to read it some more tonight if I have time. But she joins us now to discuss the book, King Rules, The Truth for You, Your Family, and Our Nation to Prosper. Live the Dream of A.D. King, Daddy King, and MLK. So tell us about this family and where Martin Luther King came from. Because I think that's important to understand where we are, because his journey is a classic American journey of being a true folk hero and trailblazer.
Well, thank you, honestly, for the opportunity to even join you today and your listening audience. And it's so amazing as you asked that question, because I was listening to all your comments as you were bringing me in with the intro and everything that's happening in the news. I'll be honest with you, I don't look at the news all the time. I do sometimes just to get a barometer. But some things are so fantastic or fantastical, which isn't a word. Now we've got the House getting ready to sue the president and et cetera. And the one point that you made about him being like pretty much a mouthpiece. President Obama is not the one that's totally doing all that. There's a machine that drives this, and he's just right at the front of that machine. And so as I begin to look at everything and continue to see all of the breakdown in our society today in America, across the country, I'm very disturbed about the children who are being brought over and just kind of left on the borders. And I'm astounded by the things that I'm hearing in the media now. Let's send them back. They don't belong here. Let's keep them without any real plan or knowledge how to help the children. The sanity of people saying we have a moral obligation to help children everywhere, whenever they're in need. But then there has to be some logic to it. And then the children are suffering with the blame game going. Now, I'm saying all of this to say that during the time that Martin Luther King Jr. was alive and here on earth in the 20th century, during the time my father, his brother, Reverend A.D. King, was here, my grandfather, Dr. Martin Luther King Sr., we had order, we had rules. There were things that we were able to pattern our lives by. Were we perfect? No. Am I perfect today? No. But we have always been imperfect humans in the to serve a perfect God, with love and compassion being the order of the day, the rule of the day, which is why you'll find a chapter in that book, The Beloved Community. So I actually wrote that book for my children and grandchildren. I know you've got some questions. I'm going to wrap this one up. But my son said to me the other day, my youngest son is 24. He said, I'm sad. Your book is making me sad. I said, why? He said, all the things that you talk about in that book, I didn't have. I said, what do you mean? I've been here. He said, but the patriarch. I didn't have a real patriarch. My grandfather, I didn't know him. My great-grandfather, I did not know him. My uncle, I did not know him. And you know, his daddy and I are divorced. He said, so all the things you say in the book, Mom, are right. You're trying to give us those things today, but I didn't always have them. So America, we have lost standards, and we want to kind of throw rocks at one individual, President Obama. And you know I do not agree with the policies of President Barack Hussein Obama. I do not. I've been to the White House twice, told him I love him, I'm praying for him, but I don't agree with his policies. So I wrote the book to hopefully re-raise a standard that works.
Well, the globalists, starting with the Native American and then black communities on record, brought in the social engineering. I know you're an expert on that, and Margaret Sanger and Hitler and all the rest of it, and the Rockefellers. It's just too wild, to even try to encapsulate it on the radio. But I'd like you to speak, some to that, and the targeting of the human family and the human system perfected on black people, now being deployed against everyone to devastating effect. But before we go there, and if you just joined us, folks, Alveda King, Dr. Alveda King is on with us. She has the new book, already becoming a bestseller, King Rules, just came out. 10 Truths for You, Your Family, and Our Nation to Prosper. I agree with so much of what's in there. It's very touching. Talk about, though, the other men, because we always hear about Martin Luther King. We don't hear about his dad or his brother. And break down the book for people and some of the standards that were there for people to, from the numbers I've seen, lower illegitimacy in the black community in the 40s and 50s and things in most areas of the country than what you had in the white community. And just the complete destruction, in my view, of culture that we see by design. And why do you think that's happening?
Well, and all of that we were saying about the socialist agenda, for those who wanted to label my Uncle Martin Luther King Jr., my Uncle M.L., as a socialist communist, my uncle was never communist. Now, the gospel of Jesus Christ, wherein Jesus taught that everybody should have a place to sleep, something to eat, to be treated compassionately. The sermon of the Good Samaritan is the one that my uncle preached along those lines. But my uncle never embraced a communist agenda. That's just not true. And the socialist idea of the government providing everything. You need a big brother. You need a new plantation, like in the days of slavery, where the slaves were, given all this free labor and everything, and they were getting somewhat handouts from the master. And so the government, my uncle, of course, said that the law cannot make someone love me, but the law can keep someone from lynching me. So people have to really understand that my uncle, being a very intelligent man, but definitely a godly man, understood that there is a place for government, human government, but that the rule of God, which is agape love, superseded that. So that's exactly what he taught, and I challenge anybody, especially after my Uncle Martin Luther King Jr., Uncle Emil took the call to preach the gospel. In his earlier days as a college student, as a high school student, he looked at all the philosophies of the world. He studied many philosophers. Gandhi was one.
Well, plus, it's like saying Thomas Jefferson was racist when he was actually a trailblazer trying to end a lot of things. It was the time that someone was alive when the socialists were trying to embrace Martin Luther King, from my research, correct me if I'm wrong, that he would go and speak to any group or whatever. And obviously the left at that time wanted to co-opt him, but no one could imagine that there was an even more insidious plan to use government empowerment to actually enslave people. I mean, he would have had to have a time machine in the 1950s, to know things like this.
And let me speak to that one. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that one up. I have a chapter in the book that says, get a good education, but education cannot be God. If I had written about the Constitution and the Founding Fathers, which I I really didn't in the book. But they were imperfect men. They were not perfect. They knew slavery was wrong. Almost all of them did. One of them wrote, and I'm still trying to find out which one it actually was. He said, if there's a God, we're in trouble because slavery is wrong. They knew it. Then the excuse comes up. Well, it was wrong, but that's the way it was in those times. And we did the best we could. Some of them actually did free slaves during their lifetime or upon their death. And so I said that if the founding fathers knew slavery was wrong, many of them, Alex, absolutely said it was wrong, but some of them still owned slaves. And so I said that I wish they had had the courage to stand up even a little more firmly and a little against it. I think Ben Franklin did have one slave, and he freed that slave. You know, I'm studying all of them now. I'm really looking before I talk about it solidly. But that's back to the point of when I do wrong and I want God's word to change, and I try to change it because I want to do what I want to do, God's word is not going to change. God's word is going to change me. And from what I found out from the founding fathers, what I knew about my uncle Martin Luther King Jr., Uncle ML, my daddy A.D., definitely not perfect. Daddy King, not perfect. I'm not perfect. I've had abortions, pulled out. I've been divorced 3 times. I've just done things, but I have repented. I've asked God to strengthen me and help me. So when we as human beings make these terrible human errors, then that doesn't change the standard. Those 10 rules that I've written about in that book, you make your home a priority, serve your family, get a good education, guard your heart and your body, and your human sexuality. That's what that chapter is about. Defend life. It goes on into peace and justice, caring for the needy, the beloved community, and it ends up with finding your joy. Those are real, genuine standards that transcend all time, that transcend all human error. I was very honest in the book about things that I've done. I really, it wasn't an expose on other people, so I could have talked about others and shown how imperfect every human being is. But what I really was trying to show was the perfection of those standards and the perfection of God. And that
I found it's important to publicly admit things you've done and to not be arrogant. I mean, I think that's the beginning of always getting our heart right. But I mean, look at King David, all the things he did, but he really repented, and he had in his heart.
Yes. David, Paul, Christians. You know, in the New Testament, his name Saul became Paul, but he killed Christians. It was so bad that when God told him to go and talk to him, he said, "They're going to kill me. I used to kill them. No, I can't go." And God, of course, defended and protected him and let him do it. So, and that's even, as I say, with President Obama, 100% his policy. And I could go beyond the HHS mandate, which is terrible. I was listening to Hillary Clinton on the news today, and Nancy Pelosi, she said something about the Democrats are about action and the Republicans are about studying things. You know, I'm paraphrasing. And then Hillary was on. But Pelosi, Hillary, the CEO of Planned Parenthood, I call them the terrible trio, those 3 ladies. And they are selling women, especially single women in this country. They're selling an agenda, and I hope ladies are really listening to this. Now, in the HHS mandate... Well,
I'll tell you, stay there. We're going to come back to that agenda, Doc. We got to go to break. One more segment. We'll have 6 minutes on the other side with Dr. Alveda C. King, priestforlife.org, her new book, King Rules. And you can find it in a lot of bookstores or on Amazon. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. Celebrate the spirit of 1776 with the George Washington brass belt buckle or this incredibly sharp-looking 1776 hat. Badass. And be sure to check out the new arrivals at InfoWars Life, where you can prepare your body to perform at peak levels with Survival Shield Nascent Iodine, Super Male Vitality, and Fluoride Shield. And wake up, America. Immune Support Blend is the healthy choice for the gourmet coffee lover. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
Cliven Bundy is a fossil hillbilly living out in the desert. When he made those statements about weren't black folks better when they lived out in the woods and had their own tomatoes and pigs and goats. And the media said that was racist. No, that was a caveman saying, I'd want to live out in the woods and have tomatoes and chickens. I don't want to live in them scary cities. Why, there's slaves in those cities. And they went, oh, you're being racist. Whatever. The point is that they've traded one slavery for another slavery, and we're all doing that. And that's what Cloward and Piven and all of this is about, and that's why they want the borders open with all these people, is so they can get groups that are dependent. And I understand they use our compassion, but where do you think all this is going? Do you agree, or you want to amend that statement I just made, Dr. King? And then I want to spend a few minutes on current politics and Planned Parenthood.
Alex, with the statement that you just made, there are different forms of slavery, and it's lack of understanding, lack of insight, lack of truth and reality that puts us into bondage, whether it be physical or emotional or mental. And, you know, it could be sickness, it could be restraint, it could be oppression from humans. There's so many things. But one of the most nefarious things that's going on right now, Pelosi and the gang are heading this up, Clinton, Cecile Richards, all of them. They are, and they're really preying on single women, young ladies from teenage up to about 33. And they're saying that the evil Republicans want to keep you in free for life with the HHS mandate lawsuit and Hobby Lobby. They don't want you to have free birth control. They want to put you back in bondage and slavery and keep you from expressing your sexuality. Well, the program, the HHS mandate, the free birth control is going to be $9 a month. Listeners, you can check that out for yourself. How much will be allotted for a lady? $9 a month. Most of us ladies, I don't care what our situation happens to be, we can probably find $9 a month. And so I actually said, I have daughters and granddaughters. They don't need free birth control. They need good education. They need good food that will not make them sick. They need safety and security so they won't end up in sex trafficking. Those are the kinds of things that my daughters and granddaughters need, and that's what women need. And the easiest way to liberate a woman about her sexuality is to let her determine when she will have sex and when she will not. Get her a $1 ovulation kit from the dollar store that lets her know when she's ovulating, a $1 kit she can buy herself, and a woman cannot get pregnant when she's not ovulating. So that empowers her. I control my sexuality. I say when I'm going to have sex. So don't rape me. Don't force me. Don't tie me down. Don't give me artificial chemicals and shots and pills and abortions that are going to give me strokes and heart attacks and breast cancer. Just let me say when I will have sex. And if I want a baby, I'll have it when I ovulate. If I don't, I won't. That's too simple. And Hillary, they know this. The gang, this college.
That's right. They won't teach women. All the ancient women knew how to control when they got pregnant. I mean, they all knew. But they will not teach women how to take control. They have the state doing it and calling that freedom.
And we need to control our own sexuality. I lead the charge. I'm a feminist, but I'm a liberated feminist. Susan B. Anthony kind of a feminist. You know what I'm saying? So I think that those ladies are being notorious, and they need to stop lying to women.
Well, they don't want men to know their bodies, women to know their bodies. They just want it totally ignorant. Well, if you're ever coming through Texas, we'd love to have you in studio. Dr. King, thank you so much for the time. I look forward to speaking to you again in the future.
Alex, thanks for the opportunity. God bless you and your listeners. Thank you.
God bless you. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements, and they upset my stomach, and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.